Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, not to control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. You are now tuned into the vault. This is a Trust Christian own, nothing control everything rant. Thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. We always know we got a bunch of long time listeners. Been doing these for 5 years, so we're gonna keep doing them. And today is a rant from Trust Christian. It's about owning nothing and controlling everything. So a lot of senior trustees will want to hear this. They want to get back. They want to get into more of a position and mindset wise. And so this episode is catered towards the mindset. And so we are going to go into today talking about. We had some consultations recently. Trustee, we're just gonna go ahead and say it. If they listening, they listening. But these are the realities. One of the things we wanted to talk about was when you go into the bank, are you dressed the part? A lot of people say they're gonna be trustees, but they not dressed the part. How you gonna command respect if you don't dress the part? Maybe you don't want to hear this. Maybe you do. But oh well. The reality is, this is why people get the treatment they get on the public side. Oh, Trust Christian, I want to own and control everything. Are you dressed the part? If you look like you own something, you're going to get treated like you own something. That's just the reality. Oh man, really? Trust Christian? Yes. You look regular. So how do you stand out? We talked to trustees about this for years. You gotta wear business attire when you go into the bank. You handling business. You're not going in there for nothing personal. You say you want to trust Christian, own and control everything. If you're not going in there for nothing personal, you gotta wear business attire. It's no way around it. You gotta look clean. You might have to put some cologne on. Y'all put cologne on for dates, perfume on for dates. Might as well put it on for going in the bank. Oh man, trust Christian. Yeah. So when you don't do that, then you know why you're getting the results you get. If you could impress somebody on a date, wouldn't you want to impress somebody at the bank so you can get recognized when you come in the bank? So we gonna put this out there for trustees. We were in the bank earlier today, and we definitely dressed the part. You have to dress the part. If you don't dress the part, you won't get treated a certain way. So we were in the bank, and one of the bankers know they're a premier banker, they're a private banker to a degree, basically, for the fact that they're dealing with accredited investors. And so that's what you want to deal with. You want to deal with for any trustees that have. They even mentioned that you could take your 401k and put it into the bank, and that was a beautiful thing. So we have some trustees in transition right now. So you go in and you're able to be a center of influence at the bank because you actually dress the part, and then you can talk it by saying, yeah, we have trustees that have the income threshold that you're talking about. Are you building relationships? How you gonna build a relationship if you're not dressed like the person you're dealing with? So, oh man, trust Christian, man, I was just coming from work. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's business, it's not personal. We can actually say that. That's the way we were trained. Trustees say they want to come through trustee training. People say they want to, I want to be trained in trusteeship. I need to be trained to be a better trustee. Okay, you got to trust the part. We talked to trustees this past week about expanding their comfort zone, going into high net worth investor environments. Oh man, trust Christian, I'm doing that. I'm doing it. Sure, where are you going? Are you in the business club? Are you in the country club? What are you doing? Some trustees have good answers. That's just being honest. There are trustees that have good answers. But at the end of the day, okay, you still gotta execute. We all gotta execute. It's just real talk. Like it come down to that nowadays. Everybody's so proud to do the work. Oh, I'm working. But yeah, did you execute? And the way that you execute is by being that leader, dominating, focusing on the end result, not just focused on the work. Oh man, I'm doing the work, Trust Christian. I'm studying. I need another week so I can get going with a trust name. What are you talking about? Get a name. You get that in 2 minutes. Think about it. Take the 2 minutes to think about it. Instead of sitting here saying, oh yeah, trust Christian, man, it's hard to come up with a trust name. It's hard to get this going now that I met you. No, it's not. It's called, now that you met us, you gotta move. It's execution time. You were thinking and doing all the research, listening to the podcast for free. It's time to move. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about today. Oh, what's the trust Christian? Oh, nothing, control everything rant. We're gonna go ahead and talk to y'all about the realities so y'all can face them and then y'all can really understand. Oh man, trust Christian, is it really like that? First of all, everybody say they want to own and control everything. Well, if that's the case, that means you're not gonna have any personal anything. So when people say, oh, we need the social security number and we need the personal credit, we need to know what your personal credit is. How are you going to give that to them? Everything's in trust. So how are you going to explain that to them? How are you going to explain that to them? How do you explain that to people? How do you keep it discreet without overexposing yourself? Have you practiced those conversations? Are you practicing those conversations? Are you forcing yourself to go into rooms where people, when they ask you these questions from the public, oh, well, we need to see this and this and that. We need to see personal tax records. How you gonna have personal tax records when trustees are focused on making sure everything's in business? So how are you gonna have any personal anything? And y'all don't want to hear that when you go out into the public. That's the first thing they ask you. Some of the people gonna get discouraged. Oh man, trust Christian. They I don't have a reply. I don't have an answer. Exactly. You don't have an answer right now. So the answer is business. They're gonna ask for a guarantor. Who's the guarantor? This is another quote unquote person. Why? Because it's a legal dictionary. Then you say you want to jump into trust, but you don't know legal. That's how you get into trust. You gotta know legal. You gotta have a legal team. That's just bottom line. Oh man, trust Christian. Really, I gotta find legal people. I gotta go out and find these people. I gotta build a team. You gotta build a board. You gotta build a board for your life. So you're not waiting to the end to do an estate plan. You're doing that right now. Your parents were supposed to have it set up, but if they didn't, it is what it is, and you set it up. You set up the estate properly. Don't get mad at the state for having a de facto number, some number that gets highly taxed. Don't get mad at the state for that. It's a welfare state. It's a bankrupt state. It's a de facto government. How are you going to be upset at that when they told you that? How you going to be upset that the government's operating in a bankruptcy position and they charging you taxes? How are you going to be upset until you educate yourself? And then you say, you know what? Okay, it's trust Christian. No, nothing control everything. And y'all don't want to hear, not even that it's challenging. It's not challenging on this side. It's just one of them things where when you get into public people don't really know. Then you guys see how many public people don't know. And we've had trustees go off on people like, relax a little bit. You got to relax. You can't be mad that the bank or whoever you dealing with doesn't understand what a private trustee training position is. Oh man, they wasn't getting it, so I had to go in on them. Nah, you don't go in on them. You don't go in on people at the bank. That's how you know you messed up. You don't go in on people at the bank. You make it a point to say, okay, I got to use my negotiation skills. You supposed to be impressing them so you can get on their good side and they like, trust, or respect you. That's what we were trained to do. Get people of influence to like, trust, and respect you. To respond back when you actually message them. Y'all don't even want to know how many people Trust Christian deals with that these people are millionaires, sometimes billionaires, but point being is they respond to emails. Y'all don't even know how hard it is supposedly to get people to respond to an email. Oh man, if you email somebody, they might not respond. That's what they say in the public. People are scared to email people, that let alone phone call. We got people that pick up for sure when we call. You gotta build these relationships. Oh man, I wanted to get a trusteeship, but I still haven't gotten out to the events for the trustee stuff. I'm gonna be in real estate, but I didn't go to the real estate events. We talked to a trustee. We gonna go in today. First, we got two things to say for sure. You gotta visit your dream, and you gotta get around to your peers. if you're a trustee, who do you think is a trustee in the public? Most of the time, they're public lawyers. So you would need to go get around public attorneys. What's wrong with that? Oh man, Trust Christian, I got this is a lot to study. I got to take away from my TV time or whatever else. That's all it is. Because if you studying to protect yourself and assets and build generational wealth, it's going to require studying. We're going to go ahead and give y'all a code. One of the mentors told us the other day. He already said it. He said you got to improve your brain, your hippocampus. He said we didn't ask him how you do it. He gave us the answer. He said you got to read. And it's like, for real? Of course we do that. Of course you got to read. As a trustee, you got to read. It's no way around it. Oh man, Trust Christian, I got so much going on. I don't read trustee stuff every day. People say, oh, what's the news publications you read? If you, first of all, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and give y'all. We're not promoting them. We just saying these are they actually make you pay for these outlets. That's the best part about it. That's how you know wealthy and elite. They segregate you out. They eliminate you out by pay price to action. They don't care how you come up with the money. What they do care is that you come up with the money so you can pay for access to the information. Okay, Financial Times, New York Times, The Economist. These are small ones. And you don't just stay in the financial realm. Barron's magazine. What's the other ones? Reuters. These are some of the things that you gotta be probably tapping your ear into. News was the one. It's something where basically they have like tech owners, and you can see a lot of the tech owners and stuff like that. So Entrepreneur magazine. Oh man, Christian, you don't need to get that many. You only need to really get one or two throughout the year, so you can see what the price of a franchise or a business is selling for. See some cool news. Y'all don't even want to know the publications Trust Christian reads, because it might just purely be of no interest to you. But we gonna go ahead and give it to you. So we gonna let y'all know how we can adapt to different rooms. Cause you don't need to be an alcoholic. You don't need to be some smoker of cigars. But guess what? Trust Christian in the vault? Yes, we read cigar. What is it? A cigar aficionado, a whiskey aficionado. Yes, a wine spectator. Why would you not be reading these publications? Why would you not get your hands on these publications? Maybe you don't know, but now you know. People say, "Oh man, I want to be around. I'm wealthy. I'm gonna be wealthy and this, that, and the third." How you gonna do it? You ain't even around it. You got to be around the money. You think if success can rub off, so can poorness. So since poorness rubs off, you got to surround yourself around wealthy people. People know this, but are they truly doing it? Are they actively taking an approach to do it? We went to a club this past week. Definitely got to join. Why? It just ultimately, if you not, it's like being on LinkedIn. You're on there for a professional network. How are you expanding your professional network? If 80% of the population is employees, how are you expanding your network with entrepreneurs if you're hanging out with employees as your top 5 people? And we talked to a trustee about that this past week. We asked them, who are your top 5 people? They say they didn't have 5. Okay, we don't believe it. All you gotta do is just go through your phone and look at who are the most 5 people, most call 5 people you've called in, whether it's the last 30 days, whether it's the last 60 days, and the last 90 days. That's going to give you a good determination of your top 5 people. And most not going to do it. Y'all already know the rule. It's 80-20. Most people not going to do it. 80% of people, they not going to track. Oh man, even if you don't want to go back the last 30 days. So you want to know the shortcut? The shortcut is, because most people are going to try to figure out the shortcut. The shortcut is from this day forward, for the next 7 days and the next 30 days, you track your top 5 people. You track your top 5 people, and you say, okay, all right, who on the list is helping me become a better trustee? We make it a point to talk to trustees once a week. So we know we have at least one frequency tap in with a trustee once a week. That's the advantage of joining trustee training, is you get to have that conversation once a week. At least. Some trustees try to tap into it more, because they got things going on and they need to get things done. And that's what it's about, execution. It's not about sitting on the internet lollygagging, talking about, oh yeah, own and control everything. I'm making, y'all don't even want to know. People coming through, oh yeah, I make $100,000 a month. Yeah, okay, and you're exposed. You're exposed. Yo, yeah, I make all this money. I make over $20,000 a month. And you're exposed. They're exposed. So how do you get around that? You got to make it a point to get going. To get going in trustee training, to do something. And here we go. Some people are going to take the shortcut. So, sure. Someone reaches out. Oh yeah, Trust Christian. I slicked you. That's what they think they did. This just being real. We gonna go ahead and tell it like it is for the internet. I slicked you. They didn't say it outright. They said it indirectly. How did they try to slick Trust Christian Revolt? Well, I heard you 5 years ago, and I remember you telling us about the system. So we got the system set up without you. I didn't reach directly out to you. I got the system set up with someone else. But who did they reach out to 5 years later, after they got the system set up? With the cockamammies. Not with the person they heard it from the cockamammies. Oh, Trust Christian, I don't really know what it is. I'm kind of set up. I don't really know, what the whole, I don't know how to make it work. I just got set up and I don't know how to make it work. First mess up. Because when you come to this sector, you got to have someone train you in the information. You got to have a family or someone train you in the information. This is a hard thing maybe for some to hear. Why? Because you got a lot of A-type personalities that think, oh, I could do it by myself. If you were so smart, you would have did it by yourself. You wouldn't need anybody else. But when you understand the alpha energy, then you have to understand that you have to get other people to do things for you. So instead of being selfish and saying, I'm going to do it myself, you got to utilize the energy and say, you know what? I'm going to have other people do it for me, and they're going to know the process, system, and procedure. And so I can default to them at all times. But this individual, hey, they made a mistake. And so now you see where they are. Oh, Trust Christian, I got to go back to these people because they set me up and I don't really know what's going on here. Right? Then they get on the line with Trust Christian. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know it was that type of trust. Why? Because Trust Christian Evolve, we can ask you a few questions. We can go over the current trust contract that you have. That's what they get a consultation for. Oh, Trust Christian, man, I got it. And I don't got it. I don't got what I thought I paid for. No. You got a public trust. You got a living trust. How you gonna get it to be private? It's set up incorrectly. Oh man, right? You gotta fix it, right? Right. Oh man, Trust Christian, I didn't think it was gonna be like that. Be like what? It's a public side entity. How do you know if it's private? Because it's foreign. It's without the state. If somebody were to ask you what state it was created in, what would you say? Small things that we ask them when they get on the line with us. So if you want to get a consultation, you can feel free to reach out. It's down in the chat, Christian@trustchristian.com, Christian@trustchristian.com. And so once again, how do you move forward with incorrect information? That's how we know people out here playing with it. That's just bottom line. Oh man, Trust Christian, I want to be in trusteeship. I don't want it. First of all, I don't even really want to live where you don't have anything in your personal name, because that's going to make you tighten up on your language. Because at that point, how are you going to say you have credit or don't have credit? If you don't have credit, if you stop using social for a period of time, then it doesn't have any money coming to it. So then what are you talking about? It's almost like that person doesn't exist. Oh, Trust Christian, you didn't tell me that. That's the downside. It ain't even a downside. We just telling y'all the truth. Y'all want to sit out here and say, oh, I want to build a business. How you going to build a business? You're not learning the language to actually build your business and your family estate. You got to learn the business language, the private side. Not just sit here and say, oh, yeah, I don't really know what privacy is, blah, blah. It's like, you really don't know what privacy is. And you don't think it's important to find out what privacy is? How do they deal with that? How do they cope with that? Trust Christian, I can't get a house in my name. I can't get a car in my name. I can't get nothing in my name because I don't got credit now. The business got credit. Correct. The business is your family estate was supposed to set up. Let's talk about it. The business estate your family is supposed to set up. So-called unincorporated business entity or whatever it is. It was private first, right? So we just definitely wanted to go in and talk about some things real quick, very briefly, with people that obviously are longtime listeners. They need to clean up their act. We want to share some things with them, because it's really simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's really simple. And one thing we'll say that we know is going to be the determining factor moving forward for most trustees is their continuing education. And that's just bottom line. At this point, we can see that that's the difference maker between elite trustees and ones that don't. And elite trustees are getting in the rooms to actually be around other successful people that are in trusteeship, and you can hear them talking from that position, and they get around them. And they definitely have a varying. There's definitely people in the room that have varying backgrounds and varying in wealth, but they clearly are aware that they're wealthy, just like you are supposed to be aware that you're wealthy. How you gonna say, oh yeah, trust Christian, I'm not gonna go in the room until I'm truly wealthy, right? No, you're supposed to go in the room before you wealthy, or at least you can see it physically. You gotta have it in your mind first. Most people don't have big dreams. We're going to go ahead and share that with y'all. Y'all don't really want to hear that. If y'all ask people what's their dream and they can't share their dream with you, that already lets you know either they're insecure and they think you're going to steal the power away from my dream. Ain't nobody going to steal it. First of all, if you plant a seed in the ground and somebody else says, oh yeah, the seed's not going to grow, does that mean the seed not going to grow? No. The seed going to grow because you got the faith that it's going to grow and you did the right things. That's why the seed's going to grow. Not because someone else looked at your dream, looked at your seed, and said, oh yeah, well, I don't think that that's going to grow. I don't think that that can happen. Who cares? You got to know the power that's in you. You got to be able to utilize the powers and say, you know what? Yeah, if I plant my seed, if I plant my dream, I'm going to live my dream. But y'all don't want to hear the truth. We sat around the mentors. It flabbergasted us. Oh man, I don't have a dream. We ask people what their dream car is. They don't want to tell you what the dream is. Why? Because they doing exactly what we talked about. I don't want to plant the seed and let someone else look at it and say the seed's not going to grow. Because first of all, if you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it? You just accepting it. They just receiving. They think they receiving. But at the end of the day, supposedly the universal law is you got to give to receive. That's supposedly the universal law. So if you don't participate in the universal law of knowing that it came from you first, it's coming through you, then how are you going to receive? When you didn't give. When you didn't give wealth. You didn't show up to the wealthy party today. You didn't give your wealthy energy to the wealthy party today. You stayed in poverty, supposedly, and stayed around poor people or whatever it is. So where are you taking your energy of wealth? Are you taking your energy of wealth and getting in front of people that are condemning your seeds? Oh man, that seed shouldn't grow. Why would you want all that type of money? Why would you want a car like that? Ooh, man, that's a lot of money for the gas for that type of car. Oh man, you don't need to fly on no private jet. Why you need to fly on a private jet? Won't you fly commercial like the rest of us? Ain't that what they say? You let that energy rub off because when you put the seed down and they started condemning it, they was envious. So they envy energy rubbed off on you. You thought you walked away. Oh man, they didn't affect me. It didn't affect me. And then now you envying other people that got something better than you. Why? Because the people that you cared about, the people that that opinion mattered from, it it was from somebody that you cared about, and it rubbed off on you. Oh man, trust Christian, don't say it like that. Okay. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people we sit in the room for sure. Some of them, they have all their family or have a significant amount of their family in business with them. But outside of that, you have people just coming into the room providing their wealthy energy. That's all it is. And wealthy energy is a real thing. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. But you can't be talking that broke stuff. You can't be thinking broke. You can't be thinking limits. You got to be thinking abundance. You got to be thinking that, hey, everything is going to work out and that's how it's going to be. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. Some people will call it determined. Some people might call it persistent. Some people might call it this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to be in the 1% of yourself, let alone 1% of the population, because you're not in control of your mindset. You letting the habits from where you from dictate how you gonna move out here. Oh yeah, my family. Look, we talk to trustees. Some of them will be making more money than their family, and that's just good enough. So now they the wealthiest person in their family, when technically your family supposedly supposed to be your wealth, just like a health supposed to be your wealth. So how are you wealthier than the people that if something happened to you, you would give it to them? Especially the first lineup, at least the first group. But it's the mindset. It's the mindset. They ain't got a wealthy mindset. Oh, trust Christian. It's so. How do I really build a wealthy mindset? Here we go. You got to put wealthy information into your mind consciously every single day. You got to put wealthy information into your mind. Are you looking at homes? Are you looking at cars? Are you looking at nice things, clothes? Are you looking at trips to travel? Oh man, every time we see you, you on the road. You never home nowadays. I should come live at your house. Ain't that what people say? Oh man, don't forget about me when you get successful. Don't forget about us. You always on the road. Oh man, you missed a holiday. You was on the road. You celebrated a new year in a new country. Right. But they don't want to hear that because they don't have a dream. And that's why you got to protect your dream and get around other people that if you were to say something like that, they'd be like, oh yeah, we've been to 70 countries. It's like, God dang, we've been to 30 countries. Oh my gosh, we've been to 15 countries. Some people say, oh man, I ain't getting on no airplane, man. Them things could crash, man. I ain't getting on that. You think that don't influence you? You don't want to hear that though. No, it don't influence me. Trust Christian in the vault. Yeah, okay. Now we know why you are where you are. Because it's important to associate with other wealthy individuals, period. And we should see other individuals in these wealthy environments. And there's no way around it. There's no, oh man, trust Christian. First of all, okay, here we go. This is the hard reality. At one point, when you in the wealthy event rooms long enough, you gonna build friendships. It may be hard to hear because you never had a wealthy person as a friend in your life. And when we say wealthy, we talking what's called wealthy. We're not talking, oh man, my family, my friend's mom and dad, they're both doctors. No, that's not wealthy. Oh, my friend's mom and dad, they're both lawyers. They're not a partner at the firm, but they are lawyers. No, we're not talking that. Oh, they both make a 200,000 a year, so they're making 400, get hit with taxes, knocked back down to 200, we live in a less than 170, $190,000 lifestyle. They're spending money to the hilt. So let's talk about it. Wealthy. You be like, oh man, this person, yeah, y'all don't even want to know what type of cards they got. Y'all don't even know what type of air travel flights they got, like frequent flyer miles. They got so many frequent flyer miles. They probably living off free miles, and you don't even know it. And you still sitting in coach, and they sitting in first class. Like they built up so many points before 21, 25 years old. They don't pay for flights like that. But oh, no, and they're in first class. Feet up. What they got the little sleeping thing covering their eyes. They don't even want to see you when you walk by on the airplane. Oh man. Trust Christian and vote. Yep. Wealthy people. People that you can say like, yeah, they family, they got a few houses, they been in business for 3 generations. Yeah, they got some money. Okay. You build friendships with these people. You got one or two or three or four or five or six, start expanding. Millionaire friends. They made millions in their life. They saw a contract with their name and millions on it. And it closed. They executed. They're a high performer. That's the bottom line. And you make and then these people become your friend. So how you gonna be upset? How your family or friends or who are current friends are gonna be upset that you got some rich friends now? That you got some wealthy friends now? And sure, it's a very structured. It's very, sure, if you get the closer you get, more friend you quote unquote are. Sure, you're at their house, you're for dinner, you're for various different events, but you're called a friend. They call you a friend, you're a friend. So you're not just a business acquaintance, you're not a business peer, you're a friend. If you imagine yourself having wealthy friends, you gotta lean into that. And then some of the friends that you got, the broke ones, you already know what's gonna happen. They're gonna ask you for money, and you gotta be prepared to give them the money. Or otherwise, you gotta be that person that's never around, so you don't have to feel a certain way about not giving certain people that you care about money. Every time you go out to dinner, who you think's paying for the dinner? You are. When you go to lunch, who's paying for that? You supposed to be wealthy. You got a wealthy mindset. So you supposed to be imbuing and putting out your wealthy energy. Not your broke energy. Oh man, I'm gonna just go ahead and sit here like them and just see when the bill comes, who's gonna reach for it first. I'm gonna see if they even reach for it. What kind of mindset is that? When you get around your wealthy friends, you think they thinking like that? Who's gonna get the bill? Maybe let's see who's gonna get the bill. You think they even thinking about who's gonna get the bill? Who's gonna get the bill? Oh man, that's the difference. Your wealthy friends and we won't call them, broke. It's just more like they just not wealthy. It's just being honest with you. And wealthy is also about a mindset. It's not just about the money in the bank account, because there are people that have had it all and they've lost it. And so are you saying they're not wealthy? They've been wealthy. So it's not the money that defines the individual. Even though they do count net worth, we count net worth. It's still about the mindset. What is your mindset like? And that's, you remember, y'all listen to sports, a lot of y'all ex-athletes, some of y'all may not be an athlete. Hey, you know what? They say sports is all about your mindset. It ain't just about your physical attributes, it's about your mindset. They say, oh, it's 90% mental and 10% physical. That's real talk. So since it's like that, how are you, and what wealthy information are you consuming? What wealthy associations are you consuming on a daily basis? Daily basis. We talked about the information, but are you going out to visit the dreams? Are you imbuing yourself in your dreams so you're living the dream, not just thinking about it? But once again, we'll remind people, we talked to the mentors. Mentors told us, we asked people to on the line for years now. Most of them ain't got no dreams. Man, that's just being honest with y'all. And we don't even want to say that. That's just the reality. We ask them, like, what's your dream? And most of them, they just want to make enough money so they can live their life quietly. That's what they thinking. And that's not how it works. It sounds good. Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be wealthy. First of all, all right, for example, we'll give y'all examples. So we got a wealthy mentor, and it's just real. He's a wealthy individual, but he lost some of his money. That's fair. So he lost some of his money because he hasn't worked in 30 years. So if you're living off your money for the last 30 years, you might lose a little bit because he clearly it is what it is. But he definitely is. He ain't work. No, first of all, he never had a job in his entire life. He had a business at 7, 8 years old. Did you? So he had a business at 7 or 8. He employed teenagers at that age. And once again, he hasn't had to work for the last 20, 30 years. Okay, great. He has a wealthy mindset, but you have the wealth in your pocket. Okay, great. So we share with him, as a wealthy individual, you want to be clean, but he also comes from an environment where he was around wealthy people.
And what will he say to you? Oh yeah, wealthy people, they'll take the hat off their head and throw it in the dirt and make it look dirty. They'll take their shirt and throw it in the dirt and make it look dirty. Beat their shoes up. People don't want to hear this though. Oh, trust Christian, am I supposed to look dirty and bummy? And no, we're not saying that. What we are saying is you wearing designer labels because you first generation wealth. That's how you expose your hand. When you get into designers, you see that the less labeling is what the wealthy are wearing at this point. That's just being real with y'all. Y'all might not have seen a transition. There has been an increased amount of what called the middle class or otherwise that wants to jump into designer clothing. And for that reason, there are wealthy clothing brands or wealthy people understand the language which is called quiet wealth. You don't need to be wearing no labels. So the mentor that we talking about in this particular case that doesn't have the money completely all of it financially, but he has a wealthy mindset, that's still moving in a wealthy way where you're not wearing designer labels even though you haven't had to work a job. Clearly, if you haven't had to work a job, some money's coming from somewhere, right? You want some type of annuity or stipend or per diem, correct? Correct. Never asked you for a dime, correct? Correct. Has always showed up and never asked you for a dime. Those are wealthy people. They don't ask you for money. So, his philosophy is dressing, we would say, we wouldn't call it bummy, but we would say you definitely aren't exposing yourself as somebody that just fell into a windfall of cash. And you think about it, they got this guy on the internet, right? This is no shade. So this guy, he's like a really popular YouTuber. He probably got like a TikTok or something else. And he goes and he supposedly finds these millionaires and billionaires and interviews them, right? Right. So he does this on the street. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's more millionaires than there are billionaires. So if you're a new millionaire, if you're in the millionaire category, I'm a millionaire. I got a million. I mean, dang, they got a Richard Millie on your arm. You got a Richard Millie, a $200,000 watch on your hands. Hey, think about it. You either wearing a fake, which is just to be cool. You like the watch, but you don't want to get it stolen. You don't want to get it scratched. It should be a collector's piece. So you might have the real one at home, but you got a fake that you wear around all day. And that's, hey, some people play that game. Or you're walking around with a $200,000 watch, and some of these guys and people don't even have it insured. In a millionaire status, y'all don't even want to hear that. They don't even have it insured. Y'all want to go there? I got all this jewelry, but it's not insured. I got all these sneakers, but I never got someone to appraise them. I never got someone to put insurance policies on all this if it caught on fire. Right? Because you're not wealthy mindset. So the wealthy mindset says if I have an asset, I got to insure it. That's why you have the insurance on you. That's why the family estate has the insurance on you. It's because you're the first asset. If you the first generationer. So bam, the clothes. If you're going to expose yourself, just like this guy, he approaches people when they in Miami Design District, catching people in New York, catching people in the hills in LA, and he's like, hey, when did you make your first million? So bam, think about it. If they were private, you get some of these guys. If y'all go watch the interviews, it's basically some little young guys. Y'all can Google it. Some young guys are on the internet interviewing supposedly wealthy people. Just, oh, I bumped into you. Are you wealthy? Yeah, I'm wealthy. So how did you make your money? Well, I sold a business, or I make $10 million a year. Think about it. If you make $10 million a year and you don't have security after you've been exposed on a viral clip on the internet, this is where the population is at. That's first generation wealth mentality. Now, some of the people they interview, he'll ask them and they'll say, I'm not going to disclose that information. But they'll say, oh, I was 8 or 9 figures. Even still that. So we'll share with y'all why the mentor, he don't dress bummy, but he dresses obscure. You don't want to know. He was trained around wealthy people. He'll tell you, wealthy people dress this way so they don't have to get kidnapped. So they don't get things stolen from them. So their kids don't get kidnapped. Y'all don't want to hear that though. When you got a significant amount of money, you got to move a certain way. You can't be out here first generation of wealth on the internet telling people, oh yeah, I make $60 million a year, or I make $25 million a year. Yeah, last year, we cleared $40 million in revenue. Okay, you're a target. Y'all know about this. Y'all know about identity theft. Y'all know about these things. But it's easier when you don't have anything. But when you have something, you're exposed. You got more assets in your name. You think all these people are financially squared away or structurally squared away? No, because they wouldn't be on the internet. If they were trained properly, they wouldn't be on the internet telling nobody that. Because when Google gives you a assignment of, oh, this person's wealth this much, that's not even accurate. So why would you want that information in the public? Oh, trust Christian, man. You right. You right about that. That's I don't want to be exposed. So how do I trust Christian, own and control everything? How do I be in that position, but I'm not exposed? That's the part you got to listen to in this episode. Again, first things first. You get your consultation. You get going in trusteeship. You don't play with it. You get going in trusteeship. And they say, oh man, I'm not going to be able to buy a house in my name. I'm not going to buy a car in my name. Y'all think wealthy people is thinking about something like that? Or you got to tune yourself up to the mindset that says, you know what? I got to figure out how to be private. Clearly, the way that I was doing it originally, that was public. So the only way I'm going to stay private is by finding a way how to do it privately. And we work with trustees all the time. Bottom line, we work with them all the time. But when you come over here, we're going to share with y'all. You got to study. Y'all don't want to hear that sometimes. Oh man, I'll be studying Trust Christian. I'll listen to the content. No, you got to engage where you, once again, you're paying a price for the information, and the information comes with an association. That's what you're getting, whether that's trustee training or engaging in your wealthy training. Your wealthy training. Oh man, but they playing with it. I'm generational wealth. How you generational wealth? And you ain't even in trusteeship. You ain't even got the lawyers. You don't even got the banks. The bankers set up. You ain't got none of that set up. But you generational wealthy. They playing with y'all out here. Instead of focusing on yourself, getting your family straight, taking care of your family, and coming up with some cool ideas, executing on some cool ideas, building out your dreams. Oh man, I'm afraid to say it, Trust Christian. I don't want to tell you how much money I want to make a month. Why? Because you already you think someone can walk by the seed that you planted. Somebody can say something and it's gonna make the seed not grow. When in all actuality, the seed is your seed. And the law says it's gonna grow because that's what it's supposed to do. And maybe you be the only one around to see it. But it's definitely the truth that it's gonna grow. If you do the right things. They made this thing too hard because it's a feeling that you get when you own something. It's a feeling when you get a feeling of possessiveness. Instead of being a steward, they got feelings of possessiveness. They don't want to know that the word has feelings. They don't want to know that the word's got the feelings. It's like the word love got feelings associated with it. So does the word hate. So does the word possession. So does the word ownership. And they don't want to hear that they gotta correct the words so they can correct their feelings. Because the thoughts is the words. And the words got feelings. And you feel something about the word. But how many people in tune with that? We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. If y'all have any questions, feel free to type into the chat while we still live. But definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Appreciate you all big time. Peace and joy.